Hey y'all, welcome back. Today's video is going to be scattered a little bit all over the place. We're going to give y'all a quick update on our garden because y'all know how it is this time of year. Things change overnight, and I think it's probably been, I don't know, a week and a half, 2 weeks since
you've really seen
the whole thing. So I thought we'd update everybody. Then the rest of the video is going to be bits and pieces of everything that's happened over the last, I don't know,
few
3 or 4 days.
Yeah.
We've been extremely busy. None of this made it to its own video.
Right.
So we decided to just throw it all in at the end of this one. I guess we'll walk over here. These raised beds are, besides the potatoes, are just about done. You got a broccoli head that's about to bloom.
I was going to say I missed one.
Yep.
I thought I got them all. I don't got my knife with me.
We'll get it. I got my pocket knife here. My knife must be dull. That thing's tough one. Yeah, that just about flowered.
Yeah, I
right there, the little one. You want that one?
No, not yet. I'm gonna come through here maybe later today. I've been meaning to do it the last several days, but y'all know how that goes. I gotta pull. I leave them in the ground till I come back out here and pull them up because they don't die or anything.
Right.
I can go
well,
throw
you'll
them.
have enough to take at one time.
I can go throw them to the pigs. Yeah, they enjoy those.
I'm gonna tell y'all something, y'all. We have went from very cool temperatures to just like rainy, misty type weather to hot.
Today it feels like summer.
So if we get this kind of weather for more than just a few days, I'm gonna say our creek garden may possibly dry out enough that we can get planting it here before long.
It may be plantable, that's right.
Maybe, but it's gonna have to go without raining for another day or two.
But yeah, the potatoes look plumb just pitiful.
These do.
These are the red ones we told you about, and I know...
these are the red ones.
Yeah. But I know some people too, I've seen the last, I don't know, in some videos in the past. And I guess we've got some new folks around. Y'all, I will tell you, we're not organic gardeners. We do organic everything the best we can, but our main goal is to grow food. Like, period. So, yes, we have sprayed these potatoes with, what do you spray them with? That starts with a P.
Permethrin?
Yeah, and it usually,
or something.
It usually knocks the potato bugs out. And Andy has sprayed these, and finally we just said to heck with them. They wasn't gonna live no way.
But you know what?
But they've been making potatoes though.
There's no potato bugs on them now either.
Well, it was the other day when I was out here.
I don't see any.
I don't know where they went. Maybe they run out of something to eat.
Maybe they did. But the funny thing is, these have never bloomed. The vines have looked terrible.
The whole time.
They got some beautiful potatoes on them.
Yep. So they met their goal.
But I want to show you though. These are Yukon Golds. These are Red New Orleans. Same compost. We bought it at the same place. Everything about them has been the same. They've had the same fertilizer, same everything. And look at how beautiful them Yukon Gold vines are.
Yeah.
Versus these.
They've been pretty. There's a tater bug.
I seen you pull them off there. That makes me wonder if different varieties of potatoes have different nutrient requirements, because to me, I've always thought potatoes were potatoes. It didn't matter what variety they were. But to see that and see how well the Yukon Gold's done, but yet the Red New Orleans, and Red New Orleans normally do good for us here in ground. I think this is the first time we've ever grown them in a raised bed. But that just makes you wonder, you know. I don't know. On down the line, carrots here are looking pretty good. I really didn't know what to expect of these to start with because they just took off so slow. But look, now they're, I don't know, a little over my wrist high. Zucchini here that came up on its own, we've just left it. And then there's a tiger hanging out right there in the middle of it all. Another zucchini plant that come up on its own, we just let it do its thing. And it's got some on it, but I've been letting them get a little bigger. That one don't look good there. We're gonna pull that one off. But the rest of them do. I'm gonna step out here so you can see the sweet corn. That's the row that came up first that's been doing the best all along. But these 3 rows down here, I actually went by them and threw some more fertilizer out right before one of the rainstorms we had. And they are really starting to come out of the kinks. And the original problem with this sweet corn was, with my planter I had, I didn't have it, the depth set on it right, and I planted the seeds way too shallow. And so these 3 rows right here, the top of the ground kind of dried out, and they didn't germinate near as soon as that row up there. And it's been sort of a struggle getting the rest of this corn to catch up with each other, but other than right in the very middle, it's looking really good. I mean, I think we're going to get a pretty good crop off of it.
The October beans are blooming. Do you notice that?
They're blooming?
Yep.
No, I hadn't. Oh, they are. Mm-hmm. Well, I'll be dog. I hadn't seen that.
And some fine looking plants too.
Yeah, that's about the prettiest row of October beans we've had in a long time. And look right here beside you.
Oh,
look in there. Look at that, y'all. My goodness. Grape jelly.
Yep. I like to just stand out here and eat them.
I know. Now, I'm not a fan of just straight eating grapes, but I love some grape jelly.
Well, dear, you should have plenty of it. That's why I mean, usually I make a little more strawberry jelly than I made this year, but I think I'm gonna have a nice grape harvest.
We've got so many berries that are coming though. Like we don't have to focus on strawberries like we used to.
Yeah. Well,
I do.
Are you sure?
All right, y'all. She tells me all the time that I only eat the strawberry jelly. I will eat whatever's in the refrigerator to eat.
But then you'll say,
where's the strawberry? I will admit, strawberry is my favorite. However, the blackberry jelly, the grape jelly, the muscadine jelly.
The blackberry is my favorite.
They're all good. So we don't really need that much strawberry this time because we're at a point now where we've got a lot more berries to pick from.
Nice variety.
Right.
I made some strawberry raspberry the other day and it was good.
That was good. It's got a unique taste to it.
It was really good.
So, strawberries down that side right there never did produce that great, but I have a feeling next year's harvest will probably be a lot better because those plants were just getting established this year. Cucumbers still have had a terrible problem with these cucumbers germinating. So, as y'all seen,
they've really struggled.
But the ones that have come up, they look nice. But y'all seen a few videos back, I started some in the greenhouse and they are up. I'm going to say another week they'll be ready to transplant and we'll finish out this row right here with them.
And then these are the beans that some viewers, some friends sent us from West Virginia that they call October beans, but they're running beans. And these are some beautiful plants.
They are. I want y'all to look
I
at this.
am looking so forward to trying them, but they are thriving.
And then we have 3 real close rows of sweet corn right here because we had this somewhat empty space here. So we decided we had some sweet corn seed that a friend of ours gave us. I just wanted to see what it would do.
We like seeing how much we can cram in one spot.
And that's another thing. Yeah, we wanted to see what we could cram in here and actually produce something.
Well, look here behind you before we go.
This is your pride and joy out here.
Yeah.
I think you're going to have to pick this one, Megan. I noticed last night it's starting to bust.
Yeah.
So you're going to finally have to pull it. But y'all look at that. That is a monster. That's possibly the biggest cabbage head we've ever grew.
Yeah, I'd say so. It's right up there with it. It's close if it ain't.
Let's see. I guess we'll walk back down through here. These are our black-eyed peas. It's finally got warm enough that they're coming out of the kinks and starting to look like something. For a little while there, they looked kind of rough. And our green beans. Well, I still don't see nothing coming up in this hole.
Had a terrible time.
These green beans have been the hardest thing to get to germinate ever. But the ones that are there look good.
Well, and usually beans, man, you get beans to grow anywhere, usually.
Some of these have been replanted 3 times. 3 times.
And Andy checked the seeds down there in a bucket in the greenhouse to make sure they was good, and every one of them come up.
Every one of them come up in the greenhouse.
Yeah.
I even bought new seeds because I've got a pile of the older seeds. The older seeds checked out to be good in the greenhouse, but I even bought new seeds, put them out here, and they're coming up, but not like they ought to be.
I'm honestly not that worried about it because I don't really need green beans.
Well, this would be just something to eat fresh.
Yeah.
Plus, Jacob's garden's probably going to give us more green beans we know what to do with.
Probably. Yeah, his green bean plants are beautiful.
They are. Here's the tomatoes. This is a row of indeterminate tomatoes, and they are quickly going to outgrow the T-post. These 2 rows right here are determinate tomatoes, and I mean, they're coming on with it.
Look.
Oh, man. Look at that.
Squash plants. These are the slowest growing squash I've ever seen in my life.
But look at the plants.
The plants, no, I'm talking about the squash itself, though. You know, usually when you see a baby squash, you're like, I'm going to have squash tomorrow. Actually, in about 12 hours, I'm going to have more squash than I know what to do with.
But they're putting on, though. I mean, there's a ton of squash down in there.
And the funny thing is, though, what I think is hilarious is that some of these are the most perfect crookneck squash you ever seen. We ain't never, not one time, since we've been planting crookneck squash up here.
I know, it don't make no sense.
It's so funny to me. I mean, ain't nothing against it. We just don't usually, that's just not what we plant.
And y'all, I know I feel like I repeat myself with this all the time, but these squash here, we did not plant from seed. They came up on their own. We transplanted them to the greenhouse to keep them from getting frostbit, then replanted them back in the garden. And so this is our squash crop this year, is what come up on its own. So we don't technically know the variety. Watermelons do look good. It took them a while, but they really started growing. Now these were planted from seed. These two are yellow squash. This is a zucchini. And our okra here, I started in the greenhouse. And I don't know if it's where it's been so cool or what, but look at that one, y'all. It is not happy at all. And these okra here were the crimson spineless, and I think they're going to come back out, but goodness, they suffered. Sage is beautiful. Look at this sage. Look at them leaves.
I know. That sage like loves it right here.
Where did we get that one at?
Up on the mountain.
Is that where it come from? We got a volunteer tomato here that's doing pretty good.
Yeah, whatever it is. I think last year we had like a, I can't remember what it was back here.
I don't remember.
We stuck it back here, but I can't remember. Oh, she's got him.
She's got her horse.
Look, oh, what's she?
She's a horse girl, ain't she?
Yep.
Kind of like somebody else I know.
Yep. Cleaning his feet.
There comes Fatso. But then, I guess the only thing really left to show y'all is these peppers out through here, which were also volunteer peppers that came up on their own. Off of some either Mad Hatters or banana peppers. So no telling what these are going to come back as and what kind of peppers they're going to have on them. However, the plants, except for that one and that one, those look the same as them okra did. They just kind of wilted and fallen away. But other than those two, the plants are beautiful. So one thing's for sure, we are going to have peppers running out our ears this year. We've got more pepper plants planted than we've ever had in the past. So
what does that mean for me?
I don't know what it means for you, but somebody's going to have a whole lot of peppers to do something with. What is this?
Huh? Which one?
This one is pretty.
That's parsley.
That's a pretty piece of parsley.
There's basil.
Basil's doing all right. This?
Oregano.
Oregano. This thyme, right?
Thyme. Yep.
This is your herb jungle, ain't it?
Yeah, but they love it out here. This is the best they've ever done. I've had this oregano, thyme, and sage for 2 or 3 years, and it never done good when we used to have it planted up yonder, and we moved it out here last year, and it loves it.
And the biggest difference in these two locations is this place right here is shady for over half the day.
It smells so good out here, too.
Yeah, it does. Walking onions. Look at these little baby walking onions.
Yeah, we're just letting them do their thing this year.
That is so cool.
See? I did pick a nice bunch of peas.
Did you finally pick some out of here?
Which y'all will see here in a few minutes, me shelling them the other day. But yeah, I picked a few out here.
But what's left, man, they falling off quick.
So anyways, the rest of this video is just going to be a few little clips from the last couple of days, and hope y'all enjoy it. So I went out this morning and I knew I had some peas to pick. Well, I went out and I got a little over half of this little, what is this, a 3-gallon bucket maybe, full of peas. So I'm sitting here working on shelling them. And I don't know that I've got enough to can. I don't think I'm going to break out the canner. I think I'm just going to go through and I'll probably just put part of these in the refrigerator to cook fresh. And I'll freeze the other part just to have for later on. That's my plan anyway. We'll just see how many we get. But I've done got several. I hope y'all can see there. You know, shelling peas is one of them kind of things. It's a time-consuming, slow job. And sometimes when I'm sitting here like this, you know, you can hear the birds singing and just the sounds of life. This is my time to think. You know, sometimes life gets so crazy you don't have time to think about nothing. I was thinking about sitting here a few minutes ago. Peas are slow growing. They are so slow. Then when you go to pick them, you feel like you work and you work and you work and you work forever. But you know, such a reward at the end of all that waiting and waiting and waiting. If we have faith and we believe things are going to happen and believe that the Lord can make those things happen, I believe in His time, if we are patient, it'll happen the way He wants it to happen. We had faith these peas would grow. That's why we babied them and kept the weeds out and, you know, fertilized them. There was some faith there that eventually we would reap a benefit from that. Even though it may be slower than we wanted, we would reap a benefit for that. And what a blessing it is that in God's time, what a wonderful benefit we will reap.
So I'm going to be cultivating with my Kubota high crop here. It's a 245H. Not a lot of people know these things exist, and there's a good reason why. They're not really common tractors. Just like a 140, you can change out the shanks and everything and set this thing up however you want to set it. I do have the fertilizer hopper on it. I have not used that yet. I put that on there for planting corn, and simply put, it's just been way too wet to plant corn. But the corn we do have planted, I think I can get through the field to cultivate it. So that's what we're going to go try. Our popcorn and then my landrace mixture field corn that I've got planted up the road here. At this point, I'm glad I've got a backup tractor to use, or a backup tractor to cultivate with. Well, before I get started with it, I guess I'll give y'all an update on the popcorn here. I think the popcorn's what I'm going to start with. Right there's a miss spot. You got it coming up there, there. You can look out through the row there and see the green in the middles of the row. And what's coming up's looking fair. Some of it could look better, but it's looking fair. You can see the green right out the middle of the rows. You can also see green in between the rows too, and that's why we're fixing to cultivate it. As long as it's not too wet. That right there actually looks like it might still be pretty wet. Seems to be working, but I tell you what, that is close. want y'all to pay attention to how thick that crust is on that soil. That's probably some of the thickest crust I've ever seen. Oh, just wrapped up one. But it's so thick that as I've been watching, I'm actually moving some of the plants around as I'm cultivating them. So I hope I'm not doing a whole lot of damage to it. But it is thick. Busting that crust, man, that is crazy. It's just where we've had so much water. So much water and then wind to dry it out. Dries that crust out so fast. There ain't even no corn there. Dries out that crust so fast that it gets hard like that. And my goodness, I'm wrapping all these up because of that crust. Them plows underneath the belly are hydraulically controlled by a cylinder instead of an actual hydraulic box on like the 140. They're a lot more touchy. It makes it harder to do some fine adjustments. Look at that, moved that whole plant of corn. Simply because that crust is so thick. You know, now that I'm busting this crust up, I may end up having more come up. I doubt it, but it's possible. Well, it's all cultivated through. And what a mess it was. I want y'all to look at this. Look what a crust on something. I mean, it breaks apart fairly easy. But look at that. Walking through, seeing if there's any. I mean, I know I wrapped up several, but just seeing the ones I can find, and I want to unwrap them. But now you can see the green rows better. They're starting to show up. So we'll go over here across the road to the field corn I've got planted. All right, while we have an extreme weed problem coming in it, the corn looks pretty good, and unfortunately this is just as crusty as the other was. But I think you might can see the corn better out them rows right there than you can the popcorn. This has grown a lot more than the popcorn. But golly, look at the weeds. There's the result of cultivating 9 rows. And I'm just going to be honest with y'all. This right here is a painfully slow process. I mean painfully slow. And there is a decent stand of corn out there. But I'm going to be honest, it's not as good as I thought it was. I can't even walk in this field because of the clods are so bad. I think I'm going to just tear that up down there and replant it. There's nothing else to do. It's not worth, there's not enough of a stand there to continue to cultivate it and try to take care of it. But I'm wondering if I shouldn't just do this topside too. Because I don't like the shape, I don't like the condition the land's in. It was wet when I planted it. Right now, I think if I got in here with a set of discs and a good drag, I could get this land smoothed up really good and make it look good and do away with the weeds and just start over fresh. But I really don't know. I don't know. This is a decision I'll have to sleep on tonight. But either way, I did cultivate what I was aimed to cultivate. That's all I was aimed to worry about of it, because I do know for sure I'm replanting the rest of it down there. But what's more troublesome is it's so hard to cultivate because of the crust that's on the ground. It just pushes the plants over, or it'll, a clod will roll over on top of a piece of corn. And from here down, I'm redoing it. So anyways, I'll sleep on these top rows right here tonight and see what I think. I may end up just tearing it all up and redoing it all. I have enough corn seed to replant it if I want. We'll see. I don't know. Especially now that I've got my planter right, and I know my planter's going to be working a whole lot better this time than it did when I planted this. So I don't know. Kind of a wash. We'll see what I decide to do. Go in. Running the house for a minute.
I'm still making slaw. I ate all that from the other night, and I'm cooking some hog jaw and got some leftover peas and new potatoes tonight. So I thought, I can't go without slaw. So.
How much slaw have you made now?
I don't know. Plenty.
I feel like you eat it every night.
Man, you can't beat slaw made with fresh cabbage out the garden. You just can't. So I will eat it till I can't. Are you coming to cool off?
Yep. Daddy's gonna let me rake over here and over there.
Turkey tracks.
Jacob's going to be bringing these hay bales to me with the big tractor because it travels quite a bit faster across the field. I'm going to be using the little tractor to stack them under the barn here. Well, because that big tractor won't fit under this barn. The exhaust pipe hits before it goes all the way to the back. One other thing I do want to point out, you notice that bale looks a little different. It's bigger and it's got a net wrap on it. I made about 40 bales with my baler with no troubles. Well, except for one. I had one bale that didn't tie right, but that's a different story. 40 bales, and most of them look like this right here. It did a beautiful job. Well, as it was getting close to dark, and I still had a couple of windrows in this field left and everything across the creek, baler decides that it's done, it ain't doing no more, and I'm not even going to go into detail what happened, but it was a mess. I had to call in backup. Daddy come over here and finish baling it for me because there was no way I was getting my baler back going last night. But anyways, no, none of that's on video. And it's probably a good thing. But anyways, today's a different day. Everything did get baled. The hay, it turned out beautiful. We never got rained on. So yeah, we're just trying to get it under shelter because we are expecting rain tomorrow morning. So thought I'd throw in a little bit of footage of us putting it up. Well, y'all, Jacob turned into a female and got a little older.
No, they are at Bible school, and so Mama got to finish the job.
I didn't record none of Megan running the tractor, but tons and tons of people always ask, does Megan ever run the equipment? Does Megan ever run the tractors? On occasion, she does.
Occasionally.
When she's called in for duty, she does. But we got it up. All of the spring cutting off of this field right here is under shelter. We've got it stuck in every nook and cranny you can think of. There's even a bale sitting out there on the front porch of the old house. But before we call it quits and end this video, I do want to give everybody an update on the baler, because I know I told you earlier that it kind of blew all to pieces. Here's what happened. This is one of the trouble bales. I had two. There's another one out there, and then we actually had another one that was so bad we unrolled it and re-rolled it. But you see how this half of the bale is wrapped in string? This half has nothing. That string's supposed to go all the way across there. And see, when you're running a baler, for those of you who don't know, you can't see anything inside of that bale chamber on that baler, so you don't know if things are going right or not. You have no idea. Well, when I'm wrapping string, as long as I see the string moving out that little, coming out of the box, well, my thought process is it's wrapping string around the bale. But turns out, on a few of the bales, that was not the case. It wrapped the string around the top roller up in the bale chamber, and the string shouldn't even be up there in that portion of the baler. I have yet to figure out why that happened, but from best of my guessing is those belts were somewhat ragged where they're spliced together. And the only thing I can figure out is that string, when I start to feed the string in there, it caught one of those belts, and that belt carried it up to that roller, and it got tangled around that roller. I have no other explanation why the string would have even been up there. So, in turn, on that one bale over there, now this happened periodically throughout my baling yesterday evening. I would just have a random bale that would be like this. The next one would be perfect, not have no issues at all. But on the very last bale that I baled with that baler, apparently a lot of string got wrapped around it to the point that it threw the belts off and made them start walking side to side. And like all of this happened so quick that I didn't even have time to cut the PTO off. It threw one of the belts off and then threw another one off and locked up the baler. So I ended up getting all the two old belts that broke out of there. And that's when we seen all that string wrapped around that top roller. And so at that point, when I figured out where my string was going, honestly, I had no idea. I thought it was operator error. I was thinking maybe I just wasn't paying attention and I was only wrapping half the bale. You know, things can happen. I didn't think that was the case, but you know, you don't know. Anyways, long story short, a lot of y'all in the last baling video said, just piece your belts back together. You know, new belts are expensive. There's no need in buying new belts. And I agreed with you because I ended up piecing them together.
Well, we called and priced them after that video, and we were like, maybe we should piece them together.
Yeah, well, I wanted to try it to see if I could finish getting through spring cutting here. And it was working. It was working so good. Like I told y'all, I got about 40 bales. I don't see any other option of fixing this baler except for buying new belts at this point. When they broke the last time, it just kind of, well, it brought a lot of things to my attention. I'm pretty sure the guy that had it before me, when he relaced those belts, he cut some off of them. And I would have to show y'all, but I'm pretty sure that some of the belts are shorter than the others. And having the belts different lengths is going to cause a great deal of problems. They're already cut to the point that I'm scared they're going to get too short if I cut off even more of them and relace them again. Because at this point, they're going to have to be cut off to relace it because the material is ripped out so bad. So anyways, long story short, we're going to have to spend some money and buy new belts for the baler. I do not want to. I'm glad that this right here is done. The other hayfield that I've got left to do is not on like the top priority list right now. So it can wait. But before I do anything, I am going to have to put belts on the baler. And that's kind of just the fact of it. I don't see no other way of fixing this problem. But anyways, I'm going to carry the 2 messed up bales to the house, and we'll go ahead and feed them now since they're not rolled up. It's been one more adventure getting this hay up out of this field, that's for sure. And if one good thing come out of this, y'all, we caught a little bit of footage of it, but Jacob learned how to rake hay over here. I am so proud of him. He has worked, and he was so determined to learn. And, you know, that's part of the reason we didn't film a whole lot. It was because sometimes, you know, like we always say, we are real life here, and sometimes it's more important to get the job done than it is to try to video it.
Well, sometimes it's more important to focus on life versus the camera.
Exactly, so. And I was wanting to spend time teaching him instead of worrying about trying to video it all. But anyways, y'all, hope you enjoyed the video.
Yep, hope you might have learned a little something. Till we see y'all on the next one.
Y'all have a good one.
Have a good one.